Now, of course, none of these measures are free. Next year, the Chancellor said he'd have to borrow a staggering £118 billion. That's 8% of GDP, higher than when the Tory Norman Lamont was Chancellor in the 90s or when Dennis Healey was Chancellor in the 70s. It works out at more than £3,000 for each taxpayer. So, how will we pay for it? Well, there's going to be a new tax rate of 45% for those earning over £150,000, plus people earning more than £100,000 will see their personal allowances cut. There'll also be a 0.5% rise in national insurance contributions. Overall, people earning between £40,000 and £100,000 will pay £156 a year more, whilst those earning between £140,000 and £200,000 will pay more than £3,000 a year more.
Cutting government borrowing from a peak of almost £120 billion is an enormous task. So the government's relying on a combination of painful increases in income tax and national insurance and a squeeze on public spending. Even then, it's going to take years to get the public finances back into good shape.
The danger is that the eventual economic recovery is hampered by the tax rises stored up in today's announcement. The markets reacted well, though, with the FTSE up almost 10%. Sophie.
Thank you very much. Well, let's get the views now of our political editor, Nick Robinson, and our business editor, Robert Peston. Robert, the figures are staggering. How big a deal is this, and will it work?
Well, it's an enormous deal, Sophie. Between now and 2014, the Treasury is forecasting that the national debt will go up by £500 billion, actually a bit more than that. And there are some economists who think that actually that may be too optimistic, because they think that actually the economy won't recover as fast as the Treasury thinks it will. Put that into some kind of perspective, £500 billion is more than a third of our entire national economic output at the moment. So it's a huge sum of money. And over the next couple of years, well, we'll be increasing borrowing at a rate we've never seen in peacetime. So very big stuff. There's a second reason why this is very big stuff. It is that we're seeing the first rises in taxes for those at the top end of the income scale, the first bit of what you might call serious redistribution for decades. For a long time, both parties have basically believed that you had to reward people at the top as much as possible because they create the wealth. Well, this is a significant shift away from this. 10 years actually, or more than 10 years after Labour was elected. This is, many will see this as Labour in a sense going back to its socialist roots. Will it work? Well, the reality is that there is an element of gamble here. We don't know whether consumers will take the cut in VAT as an incentive to spend more, and we can't be certain that the government will succeed in getting borrowing down from 2011 onwards. So there are some big risks here. We're in uncharted territory. One thing I would say is the stock market seemed to quite like it. It rose by a record amount today.
Nick, an element of gamble, how much of a political gamble?
Oh, a huge one. It proves today that you don't have to drive a Porsche, wear a flash suit and a gold medallion to be the sort of person who likes massive gambles. Alistair Darling may not look like a man who likes it, he may not sound like one, but he's just taken a huge bet using your money. A bet that £20 billion injected into the economy can, through VAT cuts and help with child benefit and pensions and the rest, cheer us all up enough to get us to spend and turn the economy around. But there's a bigger bet than that he can pay back some of those huge borrowing figures we were talking about and do it soon. Now, that in itself depends on gambles. A gamble that the economy recovers fast in the second half of next year. Very many economists think that is unlikely. Alistair Darling is banking on it. A bet that he can get government to cut its spending and indeed to make efficiency savings, which has always proved very tough to do, and also that the electorate ultimately will vote for higher taxes because they're targeted largely on the wealthy. If he pulls it off, we'll all be delighted. Labour will get a fourth term. If he doesn't, we'll all be paying for a very long time, but it'll be a Tory Chancellor who sends out the bills.
Nick Robinson, Robert Peston, thank you very much.